Social Security Agency appear to keep cropping up. And the latest, an official who allegedly used a fraudulent matric certificate to obtain a job has been accused of wrongfully taking R4 million. That's what the agency spent on his salary over 14 years. Now there are also issues with the medical assessments for 31,000 people who did qualify for a temporary disability grant and were then told that they had to reapply for the grant. Sassa is the spokesperson for the Social Security Agency. He joins us now. Sassa, good evening to you. Thanks very much indeed for your time. I mean, these are people who had to queue for grants. These are the people we saw being sprayed by water, by a water cannon at one point. They qualified for grants. They were told that they then had to queue for their grant. They were told they couldn't queue. When are they actually likely to get their money?
Good afternoon, Stephen, and good afternoon to the viewers. I think we have made a tremendous progress with regard to especially temporary disability grant. Remember, we had 52,000 people, especially the Western Cape. 4,800 people are already automatically qualified because of one, either they were 59 years old or their conditions was just that we thought it's automatic for them to qualify. And as we speak of last week, Tuesday, the 30,000 already had an appointment. Obviously, they would have to go through the process and so on. And I was made I was taken into confidence by management in the Western Cape that as of today, they'll get another program, progress report, which seeks to say these are the people who have been assessed, and then they'll then be able to go through a process to qualify to get their money.
All of this was foreseeable. I mean, these people were receiving grants. Your department then said that those grants had lapsed, and they had to go through a medical assessment. When your department, and I realize, Sassa, it's a very difficult job that the agency does. I get that, and it's been more difficult in the last year than ever before. But you didn't have the capacity to assess these claimants. So what did they do? They did what I would have done, what you might have done, which is you sleep outside the office to be first in the queue, and then they get sprayed with water. These are people who already suffer temporary disabilities, and they get sprayed with water. It seems to me that your agency created this problem. It was entirely foreseeable that this would happen.
Not necessarily, Stephen. I think what we need to explain, especially to the public, is that one is that when you apply for a temporary disability, by law, you have to make sure that within 6 months or 12 months you can and be reassessed. However, because of the COVID-19 last year and the regulations, level 5 lockdown regulations, we had to postpone it to August and then further postpone it to December. However, as an organization, we were then left with no option but to make sure that people come and do the assessment. And let me just make this, Stephen, that we have picked up, especially in the Western Cape, especially on the numbers, out of 211,000 numbers of disability grant, 25% of them are in the Western Cape only. And we realize that in some instances, there is a collusion between the medical professionals and the applicants, and in that instances you find that the numbers go high and so on, and people then qualify. Unfortunately, as an organization, we have to make sure that we reassess only these numbers, and I think we need to clarify the confusion that there's a difference between a temporary disability and a permanent disability. And I think what happened in Belleville earlier this year, Stephen, the minister spoke about it and it was explained, and the matter is within the SAPS, and I think the IPD is also investigating. I think we need to make sure that we leave it at that so that we can get the report in terms of exactly what happened.
I mean, I get, as I say, I get the difficulty, but are you essentially saying there's a lot more benefit fraud in the Western Cape than the rest of the country?
No, what we are saying is that the numbers in the Western Cape are terribly high, and I think as an organization, we need to make sure that we check the reasons why they are so high. We are not saying with certainty that there is fraud, but we need to ascertain the reasons why these numbers are very high so that we can, together with other government agencies and the department, once we identify the reason, we can then be able to work together and make sure that there's an intervention. Because in some instances, there might be certain reason why those numbers are skyrocketing, and we can, as sister department, work together to make sure that there are interventions and so on. But we are saying, for us, it's a serious concern that out of all what is happening in the country, 25% of those who qualify for temporary disability are only in one province.
You've also been trying to deal with corruption in your agency, and I'm talking about people you actually employ. I mean, one person got away with it for 14 years, a fraudulent matriculation certificate. What action are you able to take?
Look, I think what happened is that together with the law enforcement agencies and with the cooperation of the Department of Education, we work together to nab the individual. We can safely say Sassa was engaged in what we call a qualification audit, and I think this individual was identified, and as the sampling was taken, or actually the qualification were bounced to the Department of Education, it was found out that this person has been on the payroll of Sassa since 2006, and fraudulently. So the matter was, we went together with the police. When she was being taken through the disciplinary hearing last year, she resigned. In 2020, I'm sorry, she resigned. However, the law does not stop there, because she committed fraud, and she's been pursued because out of all those years, what she owes the government is in the region of about 4 million rands.
She's never going to be able to pay it back, no matter what happens, unless she wins the lottery.
No, let's hope so, but we need to make sure that we send a very serious warning, stern warning. You know, Stephen, I think we have people who are chance takers. When qualifications...
She got away with it for 14 years. The chance worked.
Yeah.
Tatama chance, Tatama 14 million.
You know, Stephen, the Sassa was formed in 2006, and that's when it started operating. I think in the process, she might have gone through those holes and so on. And I think as we tighten our processes, we make sure that we nab these people who do not qualify for certain positions. But we just want to appeal to our people: if you don't qualify, do not take chances, because unfortunately the law will catch up with you. And look what happened. This lady, she has been on the system for 14 years, and suddenly she get caught. And I wonder, how is she going to explain this thing to her children, to her family, to the community, to everybody? It's just unfortunate, and unfortunately the law has to take its course.
Paseka Letsatsi, spokesperson at Sassa, I really do appreciate the time. Thanks very much indeed.